Hi there, I'm John Lux. I'm the Executive Director of Film Florida, and today our guest is Tyler Martinolish from Film Tampa Bay. Thanks for being on with us today, Tyler.
Thanks, John. Appreciate being here.
So, since we're in the middle of the coronavirus pandemic, talk to us a little bit about what's going on in your area and with Film Tampa Bay.
Sure. Well, we've been just affected the same way everyone else has. I think perhaps a little worse. As most people know, Tampa is a major metropolitan area. Certainly within Florida, we're one of the three big cities. I guess four if you include Jacksonville as well. And there's 2.8 million people in the Bay Area, just between Pinellas and Hillsborough County. And I think that's an advantage for us economically under most circumstances. But in this case, we're very densely packed areas. And because of that, we had to take some extreme measures to sequester ourselves, stay at home. And it was a bit of an issue early on, but I think both our mayors on either side of the Bay really got a hold of it quickly. And we're on top of it enough to where I think if you look at as far as the curve has gone, we've been able to flatten ours a lot quicker than some other parts of the state, which we're tremendously grateful for. And I think it's really a tribute to our local politicians.
So, let's take the pandemic out of the conversation for a minute and let's just talk about your area and some of the highlights of filming in the Tampa Bay area.
Sure. I mentioned, we're a very interesting geographical place within the context of Florida. And I think that's always been one of our better assets. If you look at where Tampa's situated, we're only a few miles away from some of the best beaches in the world over in Pinellas and Clearwater Beach. We have a very interesting and rich downtown area with a lot of different cultural assets and architecture. We have a very diverse city just across the bay over in St. Petersburg, which is only 25 minutes away. If you look east of Tampa, we have some of the most rural areas in all of Florida with little small towns like Plant City that have that Main Street USA look to it, but also a lot of great agricultural locations, specifically strawberry fields and orange groves. If you put a pin in the middle of downtown Tampa and drew a 60-mile radius, there really isn't too many comparable locations in Florida, really anywhere in the United States that has as diverse a number of locations as we do within a short drive of a major metropolitan area and an international airport. Tampa International is widely regarded the best mid-sized airport in the country, and that's a huge asset to us.
So, besides the most well-known parts of the Tampa area, I like to, focus a little bit on some of the off the beaten path type locations. So when someone says, I'm going to go to film in Tampa, but we've seen A, B, and C because, that's pretty popular. What are some of the other locations that you like to highlight that are not as popular?
Here's a weird one, and I only know about this because we chose it as a location for one of our own commercials we shot a couple years back. There is a little place called Fort Lonesome, which is at the southeasternmost tip of Hillsborough County, and it's a really desolate area. It had hoped to be a boom town back in the 30s. They had built a large logging industry around Fort Lonesome. And within 2 or 3 years of them actually building that town and the big lumber mill to go along with it, the whole thing burned to the ground, leading a lot of people to say the area was cursed. And I don't necessarily believe in curses, but since then, no one has actually built anything on that ground. So it's just a desolate little area. Again, within a short drive of downtown Tampa, there's a small little corner store, one light, and nothing else. So if you really want just empty, desolate areas with great roads to drive on that are easily controllable, with not a lot of clutter with houses or corporate structures anywhere, it is just flat land, a corner store, and a light. And at night, it is pitch black out there. So it's a really fun place to shoot. I recommend a lot of car commercials go out there, and they have over the last couple of years. And not that the horror genre is something we actively try to attract, but we'll take anything at this point. It's also a really great place to shoot some scary mood pieces as well. So something you wouldn't expect within a few miles of a major metropolitan area, but yeah, it's there.
Now, your office is called Film Tampa Bay, but you actually, represent all of Hillsborough County. Is that correct?
Our office controls or is under the jurisdiction of all of Hillsborough, which is encompassing of City of Tampa, Plant City, Temple Terrace, and then of course unincorporated Hillsborough County at large. And if you look on a map, Hillsborough County is massive. It is one of the larger counties in the state. And again, going back to my point about the diversity of locations, you can drive just about in any direction within Hillsborough County and within 5 or 10 minutes find a dozen unique locations that are, again, all within a quick drive of a major metropolitan airport, and also world-class beaches just over the bridge.
Now, you've had a local incentive program for a little while now. Talk a little bit about what that program is and where it goes from here due to the coronavirus.
So we were one of the first counties to bring a local incentive online. I think at the moment, and this could have changed since the pandemic started, but we're one of 6 counties that have some sort of an incentive. Ours is a rebate program. It's 10%, and it's been very, very successful over the last 2 years. I think if you look collectively at both Hillsborough and Pinellas County, we both have matching incentive funds, and activating one doesn't preclude you from taking advantage of the other. So people have been able to shoot on both sides of the bay as a result and still take advantage of some fairly decent localized incentives. And that's led to a boom in productions, particularly productions under $5 million. But it's been a great windfall for us as a community. In fact, just before the pandemic started, we had a feature film, Lady of the Manor, with Judy Greer and some other well-known actors that were shooting in the area. Ryan Phillippe was in it as well. And that was the last production to take advantage of the incentive pre-pandemic. Now, where does this go afterwards? I'm not sure. I think like most municipalities, the local governments are looking at programs and third-party contracts, film commissions included, within those contract negotiations to see where they can tighten their belts. Because I do think we're going to go through some rough waters economically, not just in Tampa Bay, but I think at large throughout Florida and certainly across the United States. Whether or not our incentive is a casualty of that, I'm not entirely sure. We're in active negotiations with the county to make sure that those incentives are seen as valuable, and I think they are. But it's really uncharted waters we're going into. I don't know if it's going to survive or not. We're certainly pushing to try to keep those around, but I can't say for sure at this moment.
Tyler, I just want to say you're doing a great job over in Hillsborough County. We're thrilled to have you on the Film Florida team, and let's keep in touch.
Thanks, John.